All right. Hello, and happy Friday, everyone. I want to welcome you to Journey Through the Eyes, the EMDR podcast, the podcast that is here to explore, unveil the transformative power of EMDR therapy. Oh, friends, please hear me. Our mission here at Journey Through the Eyes is to support both the new and seasoned clinicians with critical conversations and resources about EMDR therapy and strategies to build your amazing private practice. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Tamera J. Brown, a licensed professional counselor here in the beautiful city of San Antonio, Texas. My practice is Arise Psychotherapy and Coaching Services, and it is a great day to be a therapist. And I want to introduce to you my BFF, my bestie, my
Hey,
go-to, my girl, Miss Kathy on the couch. Kathy, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
happy Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, Tap the Couch Rewire 360, where we rewire what it means to be a therapist, business owner, woman, entrepreneur, all the things. And have a practice, Willow Creek Counseling, where we do couples and EMDR intensives. We're about ready to launch our basic training with Tamera next year. So lots of fun things out here. I'm in Twin Falls, Idaho, mom of twins, cheerleader, all the things.
Just love it, friend. So today, we're going to have just a beautiful conversation, a very beautiful and organic conversation about um, marketing, right? Marketing. And one of the things that, we often talk about is how, we as therapists, many of us, right? We've gone through grad school and taken that journey, but the business side of this building your practice thing is sometimes it is, you know, it's challenging. It's a challenging journey. And so I'm grateful that we're going to have you today to support us because you've been doing some amazing work and beautiful things in the space that you've been doing with Rewire 360 and how at Rewire 360, not only have you been supporting us on our journey in our careers, hello, somebody. Okay, taking that journey in that career, driving up the ladder of becoming EMDR, not just certified EMDR therapist, moving from trained to certified, from certified to becoming a consultant, a CIT, and then helping us to move on up if that is what our hearts desire. So I'm here for all the things.
Yeah.
But in the midst of that, Miss Kathy on the couch, and these are your leadership, I'm giving you your leadership flowers and speaking life into you because not only are you doing that, but you're also helping us, right, in the incredible spaces like the huddle and the free huddle. Oh, your heart
Yeah.
is so beautiful to help us to build our businesses. And then we have a beautiful go-to person like yourself that can give us great wisdom. So we're going to pull on you today. Okay, we're going to pull on your heart and pull on your beautiful, amazing brain to talk to us about marketing for EMDR therapists and just therapists who are trying to build their practice. And so one of the questions I want to ask you is, what you now understand marketing to be, how do you describe or define marketing?
Well, first, I want to say it's a whole journey. It's a whole thing. I want to just honor the clinician and say, don't ever forget about what you bring to the table. Because when you're opening your business, it can be hard we are the product, right? Doctors have, tools to do their practice. I think you told me Rebecca Case says that we're the only physicians in the medical realm that don't get the access to the brain scans and the MRIs and all the things. And so, I think it's really important to remember like we are the product, but I also want to honor you as well because I think on this journey and your work with April Franks and all the work that you've done, it just had an aha moment about how to launch a program. That's kind of what I really want to help clinicians do today. Um,
Mhm.
and just first of all, I think what happened to me was, I was like, I don't know how to be a business owner. So I took 2 or 3 classes at my local community college. First, it was just to write a business plan. I thought, let me just chunk it out and segment it. And I ended up taking a couple more. And that gave me all the terminology, the foundation. Really, I would say it's individual, skills. You have to decide what you can do on your own. You're really good at doing the Canva images, posting on social media. if you can't do that, hiring somebody can be an expense at the beginning, but my first brief and launch training, I didn't have any of that, and I put it out there, and I got the most participants I've ever received at a training. And so I think it can just be really organic, but also there's some strategy and
Hmm.
just be kind to yourself. And I think the one thing I've got from you and April is the 12-week launch. And that sort of helped me set up my program so that each week we're doing something, an email campaign, a social media post, but not being overwhelming.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just hard to figure out sometimes, isn't it?
It is because, and again, we live in a very busy world, right? And, what I'm learning on this journey is, yes, I'm doing the healing and the sacred work of healing, but I'm doing that through building my business, right? And so not only do I have to cultivate a healer's mindset, right? But also it not cultivate it and embody it in my words, right? In my mind. And then also cultivate and embody the CEO mindset.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of conversation. Well, I can't say that. Let me not make that generalized statement. But for me, I'm the type of person, you got a bite-sized thing. And so when we talk about marketing, we're talking about that process of promoting, selling, distributing, and sharing the products or services to the communities that we're here to serve, right? And to be able to do that, we got to be willing to become visible. Right? We got to step into our creative brain and look at the services or the products that we have in our practice that we want to offer to help build wellness or whatever incredible services we're doing for the people, right? And to really master marketing and to understand it, we have to understand and meet the needs of the clients of the customers that we're here to serve, right? And it's difficult. There's just so many different challenges that I know I face. It's going to be amazing to hear other challenges other clinicians have faced in the challenge of trying to reach new clients or attract new clients beyond word of mouth, you know what I mean, and all the things. And so I want to see what you would say, right? Because today we're talking about something that you've created, which is a 12-week launch timeline, right? Um, Before we dive into that, what are some of the misconceptions or some of the challenges you've noticed about therapists for therapists when it comes to marketing their services or their programs?
I think it's the internal messages about ourselves, right? Because we are the therapist, and I think we are the service. And I think it's different when you create a widget or, a healing candle or something. That product is external to you, right? We
Mhm.
are the product. So it's all these internal messages that we really have to be very
Mm,
strong in of like, I'm
mhm,
not good enough, they didn't like it, I'm not well received. And so I think we really have to be aware just in the EMDR realm of our own adaptive information. And like you and I have a support to say, ooh, this is what was going on for me, this is what happened, and have a second set of eyes. But also to really just, I always say, let's go back to your resume and look at all the trainings that you've took, and that's your specialty, like your niche. It's like, don't make it hard. If you've done a lot of grief trainings or CBT or DBT, just do that, and it's okay, and people will
mhm,
come. When you're becoming a new consultant, I think there's some hustling that we feel like we have to have our 5 consultees, or we're building the business, but you got to get clear on what you want to do as a consultant. Is it you want to do trainings, you want to do individuals, you want to do groups, and just focus on the one thing and do it well. And that's what I'm learning with sort of launching something is you have a complete focus on a program or product, and you do the 12-week launch. And so Tamara and I have been talking about doing a 12-week launch um, product that we can help clinicians use. And I think just Tamira kind of started when you shared April stuff with me, and I had some prior learning, and you had some prior learning, and then it just all came together. Like, it doesn't have to be that hard. Just put a plan together, write the email that you want to send out with a topic, create some posts, create the topics for that week. That's it.
mhm,
Don't have
mhm,
to be a whole, because, you feel like you have to hire an assistant or be a good marketer or something like that. And now with AI, we can create some of that um, also, so we don't have to be thinking about it in our mind. So I also think AI is really helpful in that realm too, don't
hmm
you?
Yeah. The thing that I love, just so we can hone in, because you gave some beautiful nuggets there, that number one, some of the misconceptions, or some of the things that we need to do when we are stepping into launching services and programs and uh, learning how to market and becoming marketers, is working on the self, because we are the service. We are the one, we are it. And I think for many of us, I know for myself, you know, I had to get comfortable, and still in a lot of ways getting comfortable with saying, wow, I am worthy, I am deserving,
Yeah.
I am passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I love being a therapist. I love holding space for people and leaning into that, right? And becoming comfortable with that and allowing that part of ourselves and that light to shine through our business and through our communication and what we're doing. But we've got to work on those limiting beliefs, right? The other thing is the clarity. And the thing that I love that you and I often talk about is making the shift,
Yeah.
getting outside of, stepping away from the hustle and there's already so many people. There may
Yes.
be a lot of people, right? There's a lot of Burger Kings, there's a lot of McDonald's, there's
Oh,
a lot of burger
yes.
shops, right? But no one's going to do it the way
Yes.
you do it. You know what
Yes.
I mean? And so leaning into that, and then having a plan, knowing what it is that you want to do, focus on that one thing.
Mhm.
Because I know for me, one of the struggles have been, I got so many ideas. I got so much I want to do, right? But I love this idea about the 12-week launch plan, because it helps us to hone into one thing, right?
Mhm.
And provide that one thing, okay? Use our time, use our energy, and to pre-plan, because I think sometimes what we do too, Kathy, is we throw spaghetti at the wall, trying to
Yeah.
see what's going to stick.
Yeah.
And um, one of the quotes that come to my heart about, well, now I'm rephrasing it, but you know, when we fail to plan, we plan to fail, you know? When we
Yeah.
fail to plan, we plan to fail. And so we need a plan,
Just writing
right?
that down.
Okay. We need to have a plan, but to have that plan, as you're sharing, we got to take the time to get clear about who we are and what is it that we want to offer our community. What do we want to offer the people that we serve, right?
And I think you also got to figure out how much time do you want to spend on it. So
hmm
kind of inventorying yourself, like what skills do I have? Like I can do Excel, I can do Canva, I can do PowerPoint. Not so good at ads, not so good at this or that. And I think that's really important in trying to figure out your internal assets and what you're gonna maybe resource out. I just found this app and I'm gonna try it out. It's called let me get it up here on my phone. It's called the Zeely, Zeely. And you can
hmm
get it free. What it does is or excuse me, 30 days. You can try it out and it makes ads for you with AI. And so I thought, well, let me try that and see how it works. So you got to kind of see what your budget is, what you're willing to spend, but also, like, guys, like let AI do some stuff for you, but
Yeah.
don't make sure it sacrifices your tone, like you, because you're very good, Tamira, at sort of like I would say, like if you were trying to figure out which product or program, we would sit in meditation
hmm
and silence, be led, like really make sure that it's your essence, right? That you're capturing because kind of like we've talked about so many times, Simon Sinek, what's your why? It's like, okay,
hmm
that has to be internal. You can't just be a consultant and do the consulting because you want to get the paper. That's not going to get you people. I mean, it may get you some, but it's not going to create a long lasting product. And so that's what we're trying to do is build the long lasting product and really make sure it's internal. Because when it comes from within, right, and we
hmm
give it out, we're going to keep nurturing that and keep it going. But if it's just something we do for, I went to that training or this training or this, I got the paper, that's not this.
You know, you said something that was so powerful. So first of all, We as therapists and those of us who maybe we don't have a large budget, right? We do
Yeah,
have tools that we can use like AI that can help our busy brains to just become more strategic, help us to brainstorm language and create things and do some of the work for us. But we got to become comfortable with our voice, Kathy.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But that also goes back to doing our own inner work, right? And being okay with recognizing we all still have work to do, but
yeah.
we got to do very real work and find your voice,
Mhm.
right? Find your voice, find the voice of what you're passionate about, and become accepting of your view, your philosophy, your beliefs, your value. Like for me, and what you were sharing is, and what many people may not know, but they know they're going to know today, right? Is that everything that we do, we start from a spiritual place,
Yeah,
right? We set an
yeah,
intention, we go
yes.
on a fast,
Mhm,
we sit with it,
mhm,
right? And then we birth it from there.
mhm,
you know, we are in tune with it.
mhm.
We are in alignment with it. We do any energetic or any thought negative limiting beliefs around it. We support one another and then we offer it because at the end of the day, one of the things I'm passionate about, Kathy, and it's my hope, right, for us as clinicians that, and I will always say this, COVID has did lots of things, but what it did was it positioned us to get on the front lines.
Yeah.
It moved us out of just being in the corner in some office, and now people have more access. And Kathy, I feel so passionate about what I'm getting ready to say. We live in a world where people and their families and individuals are struggling, and they will only be what they know. We are able to now help in a big way.
Yeah.
We are now able to use social media to provide bits of psychoeducation, let people know that mental health and therapy is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And to be able to say, we are here for you. We are here to help and give them the information, give them the healing pathways that they need to improve the well-being of humanity. I mean, it's incredible. I don't know about nobody else, but to me, I'm like, we are medical professionals that we are here
Yeah.
to bring more light, love, wellness, wholeness. Oh my God, to people, to women, to men, to children, to teens, to our
Yeah.
seniors. That is who we are.
Yes.
Okay. So talking about marketing that and diving into that
Yes.
and speaking that and sharing that. Okay. And so one of the things I want to ask you, right, to help us with today in a bite-sized way is what would you say is the first few steps that a therapist would need to take to start preparing for a product or service launch?
Mhm. Just what you said, set the intention. How is it congruent with who you are? Be clear on the service. So let me walk you through the basic training that we're going to be doing and launching because that's really where this came from was okay, I want to be a basic trainer, but what does that mean and how do I get therapists who are out there who are maybe don't know about what EMDR is into it. So it came from this place of the my love for EMDR. So and I need you to kind of fill in some blanks here because you kind of helped me with the
Of course.
product here. And so it was like set the intention. I want to help people get basic train so that we can spread more healing, like quicker paced therapy. They don't have to stay in therapy for years. And so that's kind of where it would start is just be clear on that intention, the why, and then write it down on paper, write the options, and then figure out what resonates for you. I know you and I are both visual people. And then it's like, okay, I want to do this basic training, what's included. Um, and you have that vision there. I wanted to just kind of ask you sort of, you've done a lot of like, you're a coach, you've done some April Frank stuff. And she also talks about like a free lead up to the event. So I think that's one of the strategies after you have your product of like creating value. So I also want to kind of figure out what you know about that because you've done a lot of work in this area and probably have been doing it longer than I have. So kind of want to just pick your brain a little too on what you've seen sort of come out from those places.
Yeah, so one of the things is again, and I'm just reiterating because I believe that repetition is a mother, sister, cousin of all learning, right? So one of the things, like you said, is getting clear on the intention. What is it that you're here to offer, right? And then take time to plan it out, right? And once you have a plan, and once you know what it is that you want to offer, and you're clear on that, right? One of the things that April Franks in her Build Launch University has taught me is that you want to be clear about what you're offering.
Yeah.
What is the benefit of it?
Okay.
Okay. What is the problem it's going to solve?
Mhm.
Okay. You know, how is it going to transform your clients' lives?
Mhm.
Right. And then, why do people need it? Why do people need your therapy service? Why do people need your course? Why do people need the information that you need to share for them? What is the benefit of it? What is the need, right? And then once you're clear on that, once you're clear on the offer, what is it called, right? What is the benefits? Who is it for? Who is your ideal client, your avatar,
Buyer
your
persona.
dream client, your client persona, whatever it is, right? Okay. And being clear on that, being clear on the demographics, being clear on the challenges that your ideal client is facing, how your service or your product is going to solve that problem. Why can't they live without your service? Why can't they live without knowing this, whatever it is that you're doing? And then once you're clear on that, once you're clear on what you're offering and who you're offering it to, then you want to create a freebie, something that will begin to introduce the product or the service to the community or the audience that you're trying to reach. That could be a webinar. Um, that could be a masterclass. That could be a 7 or 14 day, 3 day challenge of some sort, right? And so it's just getting clear about your offer and then also identifying where are you going to be marketing, where are you going to be sharing this offer, right? Where are you going to where do you plan, right? It's kind of like that 4 P's of marketing, right? Can you talk to us about that a little bit, the 4 P's of marketing?
Yeah, yeah. So after we sort of define our, our product and thing, we do the product. So we have our product, then we have the price. So do some market research on, you know, I think assigning a number to our value is difficult, but do some comparison, figure out where you might fit, and figure out a good price. And then you're going to figure out where you're going to put it at. So you and I are sort of developing this 12-week launch plan. So figure out the channels. Facebook, do you have an organic email list? Do you have word of mouth? Do you have like here in Idaho, we have an organic list. Do you have, friends, family, those kinds of things, and Instagram, those kinds of things. TikTok. What I did want to say is look at what you're already doing, and then on those you're just getting on TikTok and doing a little TikTok, and then you don't put a call to action on it. Just start putting a little link. If you want to consult with me, put the link on the bottom of all your TikToks. Like if you're doing that every day, do that and just put the link on it and just beef up what you're already doing, right? Or just put that in there in the Facebook
Mhm.
post or the Instagram, because maybe you're better at any of those. And just put that little call to action in there. That's one simple tip that you can do. But also then you have product, price, um, channels, and then how are you what's the promotions you're gonna offer? Are you gonna do a buy one, get one free? Like on the EMDR University in December, customers always know that I'm going to offer a promotion for the next year for consulting and certification. So they're going to wait for that. Every year she runs a promotion the week of Christmas, right? So getting uh, clear on what you want that promotion to be. Is it a buy one, get one? You want to have them feel like you want to target the fear of missing out and some urgency, like hurry. There's only so many spots left And so we have to kind of work on that fear of missing out, the FOMO, and figuring that out in that plan. So you're taking what you've said, the offer, all those wonderful things, and then we're putting it together and some sort of like giving them value. And then each week, you're gonna do is create a plan. So we recommend doing a 12-week launch so you have enough time to get the word out. And what I was doing before was just putting some posts here and there and copying and pasting my language, have a strategy. So week one, we're going to talk about why they need it. Week two, we're going to talk about maybe some pain points. Week three, maybe we're going to talk about overcoming objections to your product. It's too much. I don't have enough time. So like for EMDR therapy, you don't have enough time. This is going to transform your patient's life. So, maybe something like that. Week four, have some testimonials. Week five, have some videos of introducing your speakers or trainers like we're going to do for our summit. So having that strategy of like, it just makes it so much more clear than trying to do everything and just have it be a shit show.
Mhm. Because
I've
at the
done
end of the
that.
day,
I've
you
done
know what I
that.
mean? And again, it's what I call when we're trying to throw spaghetti at the wall, right? So you gave some beautiful engagement strategies, right? Just being able to leverage social media, being able to leverage your email marketing, being able to leverage, just using AI or whatever your
Yeah,
resources are, use your resources, right? Use your resources, but it also, too, as you were sharing, it goes back to intention. You've got to put it on paper, right?
yeah.
Even in the Healers Pathway Collective's EMDR book club, I
Mhm.
post in there every Sunday a plan for intentionality for the folks who are building incredible private practice and want to see their practice grow, and just sharing a roadmap on how we can be able to stay connected to what we're doing so we're not all over the place, right? Throwing spaghetti at the wall and it becoming a whole poo-poo show, right? And stuff is just stinking and then we give up or we just burn out, right? And all the things. And so these are some really practical engagement strategies that we can use for success. The other thing that I want to mention in all the things that you're talking about is that we, as CEOs, healers, therapists, however we identify, if we're going to use social media, we got to become comfortable with the identity of being content creators. Okay. That we are here, just like you were talking about the post, right? We are content creators. Okay. And content is, as I hear, is king. Okay, because your content is what's going to attract your ideal client. It's
Yeah,
going to speak with them. It needs to resonate. It needs to nurture. It needs to support. It needs to provide clarity, right? So getting clear about those content and recognizing that this was my thing. Oh gosh, I had to realize, and I'm still probably trying to get out of it. But just posting on social media is not marketing.
no. You have to have a call to action.
Just post it, girl, get off my toes. Just posting on social media isn't marketing. You gotta, open the door, right? For people to connect. And the thing that I think sometimes, Kathy, I've heard in some conversations with some therapists, they feel icky, right? And I would love to hear your heart on this. The thing that I'm learning is that we're here to make lives better. We're here to help human beings live healthier lives. And the world needs that.
Yeah.
Even us as therapists need that.
Hmm.
But how can we build practices and bring that wellness if nobody even knows we're here?
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to hear from you just on moving from just a posted girl, just making pretty posts.
Oh, you know, uh, Well, Cambria Evans talks about this and she says, repurpose your content. You likely already have a course or something written, repurpose it. What do you find yourself talking about to your consultees? Make a little handout, make a little checklist. So it's some internal sort of DBT mindfulness of what you do every day. So this isn't you have to go out and create. So it's this very internal observation of what are we already doing? What value do I already have? And then just put it in a handout, do a little foo-foo Canva, and then that's your free thing. So it doesn't have to be a whole thing, And so the other thing I would say is that, have some metrics that you can, follow it on. So how many people from my free webinar converted to my course? That's kind of what April taught me a little bit is what are those metrics? How many people opened your campaign? How many people clicked the link? Were there any purchases? Just, you don't have to be in detail. Just have a few ideas of did that work, that email style? And then also just on the emails, it doesn't have to be all fancy either. Like, just make it simple, Like I was working with a marketer, I said, could you work on these emails for me? Oh, I usually charge $200 an email. I'm like, you don't need to charge $200 for a dang email, girl. I'm like, no, I could put the links in, I could put a little post and little gifts and call it a day. Like, it's the content, right? Sometimes it is the magic of the layout, all the things that marketers specialize in, the subject line and all that. But also, I think just our demographic as therapists, we are more likely to read the content and not all of the other details. I don't know, me as a therapist, I'm like, oh, forget all the foo-foo. Oh, we have this course, it's half off. Click, boop. Yeah, So I don't know. It's a lot of surrender. It's a lot of internal work. It's a lot of divine inspiration of being led, following that, like, oh, they need this. This is, and that's where EMDR University came about. It's like, oh, people keep saying it's so hard, it's so difficult. It's like, let's just create a space where we can be in community, be together, and it doesn't have the struggle, right? The struggle
Yeah.
doesn't have to be there, or this idea of this. You can never be a trainer. It's an unattainable thing.
Hmm. The thing that I hear from that in the spirit of that is embracing that it's all a journey.
Mhm.
Surrender the busyness of the overthinking,
Yeah.
which is going back to doing your own work. Whatever it is that we fear, whatever if it's we fear it's okay, I don't know if anybody's going to accept it or whatever. It's like planting seeds, right? Got to be willing to give it time,
Well,
you
the
know?
relationships that I've built
Yeah.
so far, like I found you, and the universe just keeps guiding me. I feel like a little nudge of like, Kathy, we've got you. I find consultees that are just with me for lifelong friends. They're my peeps, they're my tribe. I don't want to get into cultural misappropriation there, but they are my tribe. They're my people. What's a tribe? It's a group of people that have a collective mission. And it was like, oh, and I've had these people that just amaze me as much as I amaze them. And
Hmm.
they're everyday clinicians that just need to be recognized and have their
Hmm.
value sort of highlighted. And
Hmm.
I need them to highlight me. Do you see what you did
Hmm.
there, Kathy? I've
Hmm.
been doing that for a long time. Well, that's magic. Oh, wow, what?
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that that's the power of community, and it's a power of having these conversations, and it's about sharing the information, right? And you know, i- in simple strategies, like one of the things you just shared was about building momentum, right? And learning how to track and where you need to make adjustments. And in other words, it's like embrace the journey. Surrender trying to do the journey perfectly.
Yeah.
Whatever doesn't yield the success that you were hoping for, then all we need to do is pivot, right? Just
Yeah.
pivot. You know what I mean? Pivot, but embrace the journey of becoming, embrace the journey of learning. That's why I say, in my heart of hearts, I am a student of this thing we call life. I'm a student of this thing we call being a healer, being a therapist. I'm a student in all aspects of my life. I want to remain a student because I can remain humble so that I can remain open. So I don't have to think I need to know everything because I don't know everything, right? But what I want to do is I want to master. I want to master who it is. I want to master speaking my voice to speak to my ideal client. I want to master being in tune with what is my practice? What is my practice as an EMDR consultant in training? What season am I in my practice? And what is the healing work I want to offer my community? You know? And that's that clarity, right? And I know for me at this time in my life, I'm super passionate about complex trauma and helping. We're like onions. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? We are like onions, you know? And so in my heart, in my soul, I really feel that I'm called to be here to hold the space for all the things as it relates to people who are trying to heal from complex trauma. And
I think one thing, if I could
mhm,
just interject
yeah,
here,
yeah.
that idea of humility as a trainer, I think, was missed. It was more of I am and you're not. And so I
Mm,
think for you and I even ask you, keep me in check if I get out of line, and redirect, because I never want someone to feel like they're not good enough to be here, or they don't matter, or that I'm on a different level. And that's the whole culture we're building. And I also want to say there's people that aren't your people, and that's okay.
mhm,
People aren't going to accept your message. That's okay. They're not on the same divine length. They're not on the same wavelength. They're on the same It's okay, for them not to be your people. And so I think that's also okay, is to
mhm,
recognize it's important to recognize who you want as a customer, but also who don't you want, right?
mhm. And I just think that those are incredible strategies, right? Know your community, know your audience, know who you are speaking to, and be open to the life lessons that come with trying to build those connections, right? One of the things I wanted us to talk about before we have to surrender to our Friday is about managing a launch day, right? Because one of the things when you're doing a 12-week launch, to get clarity on all these things, you want to make sure you want to know when is your actual launch day, right? You want to
Yeah.
you want to know when are you going to officially either use your webinar, your masterclass, or your challenge, whatever it is that you're going to do. When do you plan to actually open the windows, open the door, and to
Yes.
share that, right?
Yes.
So you can maximize the signups and the potential. You want to give yourself time to do that. How many days would you say you should market? um, you
That's the
know,
whole thing with the 12-week launch. It was like, I don't know. And so having the 12-week time frame was like, that was good for me. And even if, consider maybe you could do it in 8 weeks, but just having your time prepared and having those dates
mhm,
set, so you can continue to talk about the dates and things, is just super important. So I think that's the whole thing, is like the big picture, like what's the date, what you're going to offer, when is it? And I think that's a really good point.
mhm.
And that's where you start. And so you start at the end and work back.
You know, um, I just really appreciate this conversation, and hopefully we shared some practical things that
Yeah.
our people and our colleagues can use to help them if they've been having challenges with this, right? Because, once you figure out what it is that you want to offer, and once you do all your content planning and all of your messaging and figuring out what is the tool, what is the freebie you're going to offer, to actually launch this product or service so you can get those signups, right? You want to make sure you also have a follow-up plan to nurture those
Yes.
new signups that you have. And you said
Yeah.
this is just what we call setting the stage to build those thriving long-term relationships, right? So I want to ask you today, do you have any final words or things that you want to share with people that they can take away in trying to launch their first launch?
Set a date, decide the product, create a 12-week plan, chunk it out week by week, have an offer, and trust yourself.
Mhm. Beautiful. Well, folks, we thank you so much for tuning in on today and joining us in the conversation. You can find us, Kathy, at rewired360.com and a lot of other places. You can find me on TikTok, arisetherapist.com, and anything else you want to share before we step out.
I just appreciate our listeners. We've been doing this podcast and it's like, how do we get it out? So you can find us on Apple, on the Google Play Store. Just follow us. We have lots of good content and conversations. And then also, if you ever would like to be a guest and have a topic, reach out to us. We love conversations. And so if you're interested and maybe have a topic, we'd love to hear from you.
Have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.